Okay, we're at Bayside. Let's go for it. We're having some fun again tonight. The mysterious issur of Hachana. What's the guidelines? What's implied? What's included? What's not included? And let's get involved in some of the lumdus as well. Okay, let's do it. I actually listened to a series of 10 shiur from Shragi Kalis on the issur of Hachana.
What time are we in tonight?
And you'll see. I'll be under 3 hours, I promise. Okay, so now there's an issur of Hachana, which is preparing from Shabbos to Chol. Preparing from the Shabbos for the weekday, taking Shabbos and preparing for the weekday is the issur of Hachana. This is the issur derabanan. Most issur derabanan and Shabbos are atur deraisa. They're extensions of the issur deraisa. Over here, it is one of the unique, independent issur derabanan. Issur derabanan just by itself is not atur any deraisa. Now, preparing this is a little interesting because there's no major home sugya. There's no major home sugya in the Gemara. There's the Mishnah on it. It's true, but it gets around in a lot of different places. And the Shulchan Aruch, it's quoted a little here, a little there, a little there. It's not a main siman solely dedicated to Hachana, so that makes it a little bit interesting. Okay, so what's the underlying geder of Hachana? So Rashi explains that you shouldn't be matriach on Shabbos for the chol. Now, what's the problem with being matriach? We actually paskin on Shabbos. You're allowed to be matriach. Are you allowed to move the couch to the other room because you're having guests over for your Shabbos lunch? Yes, you are allowed to. So being matriach isn't independently an issue. You're allowed to be matriach on Shabbos.
That's the Tzarech Shabbos.
That's the Tzarech Shabbos. So it's for some reason being matriach when it's not. So the etzim tircha isn't a problem, but being matriach on Shabbos for after Shabbos, that is a problem. It seems to be some form of zilzal, degrading of Shabbos to doing some work or something on Shabbos for after Shabbos. Now you could either explain it as don't prepare for the weekday on Shabbos, or don't waste Shabbos. Those two possibilities sound very similar, but we're going to see there's actually quite a bit of nafkamina between them. Either don't prepare on Shabbos for the weekday, or don't waste Shabbos. We'll see. Stay tuned. Okay. Now, if we could explain that you're doing an action for now, then obviously there won't be a problem. There won't be an issur hachana. So let's get into some examples. Shulchan Aruch, Orach Chaim, Shin Chaf Gimel, Vav. Siman Shin Chaf Gimel, Sif Vav. On Leil Shabbos, after the Suda, you're allowed to wash the dishes for the upcoming Suda. However, after Shalosh Shudas, even if you finish Shalosh Shudas before Shkia, you're like a serious litfak, and you yeki type, you finished, maybe in the summer we could see how doing this, in the winter we can't even imagine, but you finish Shalosh Shudas before Shkia, you cannot wash the dishes. You don't have a meal coming. Cups you can wash because all day is time for cups. So the Mishnah points out that if you know for sure that you won't use the cups, then you wouldn't be allowed to wash the cups either. But normally, plates you use for the next meal, cups you use whenever. So under the normal circumstances, after your shalosh shudas, you can't wash the plates, but the cups you would be allowed to. If you know you're not going to use it, you can't wash it. Now, are there going to be any times where there are heterim to wash those plates, even if you are not going to use it? Because as of now, we said Friday night you can wash because you can use it Shabbos day. But what if you know you're not going to use it? Are there any heterim? So the Marshag says that you're allowed to wash plates because it's a kishut habayit. It's a adornment of the house. Now, some people misunderstand this to think that he meant, you're making the house clean. But that's not probably what the Marshag meant. Because the Litvaks from South Africa are going to have a hard time understanding this. But those from Bar Park are going to have a very easy time understanding this. The Marshag was Hungarian. What does he mean that you're allowed to wash the dishes because it's kishut habayis? Probably he was talking about washing china to put in the brake front. So obviously you can wash the china to put in the brake front. You're using it right now to decorate the house. That's not for later. I don't, the real Litvaks probably don't feel this so much. But those from Bar Park, they understand. You wash the china and you put it in the break front. That's where it belongs. That's where it lives. That's where it goes. It's a decoration for the house. And therefore, that would clearly be allowed. That's what the Mashag says. The Tzit Eliezer said, then he gave a psak for Shari Tzadek. They're allowed to wash the dishes, even when they know they're not going to use it again. But once again, this is very specific for now. In a hospital, you have to kill the germs. We don't leave germs around in hospitals. So I would, this could even be B'kuch Nefesh, going to potentially washing dishes in the hospital. You don't let the germs sit around and grow over there, and the bacteria, and who knows what else is going on. So that, once again, is Pashut. That's not going to be a raya for any of us to the Tzitz Eliezer's washing the dishes. Oh, we're back to Bar Park. The Dembetziner Rav. The Dembetziner Rav said you're allowed to wash the dishes to prevent the cockroaches from coming. I don't know what was going on there in Bar Park at that time, but you're allowed to wash the dishes to prevent the cockroaches from coming. Once again, right now, I don't want cockroaches. If right now I don't want cockroaches, then I could definitely wash the dishes. Now, let's talk about us, most of us who aren't so worried about cockroaches, and most of us that, we don't live in hospitals, and most of us that we don't keep our china in the break front. Maybe our Hungarian grandmother kept her china in the break front, but we probably don't. So are we allowed to wash the dishes on Shabbos? So far, not looking so good. However, there might be some heterim. What if I just don't like dirty dishes around? I don't like dirty dishes around. Why are you washing? No, it's not about, I just don't like dirty dishes around. Could that person wash the dishes because they don't like dirty dishes around? So we have to understand, we have to ask ourselves, or ask our wives, maybe more likely, why is it that you don't like the dirty dishes around? You have to get into your brain. Hachana is not so simple. You can have two people doing the same action, and one is over this Hachana, and their neighbor is not, even though they're doing seemingly from the video camera the same thing. Why? What is it that bothers you about those dishes? And be honest. Is it that you're going to have to wash a Matzah Shabbos, and you're dreading the fact that you're going to have to wash a Matzah Shabbos? I want to go out to Matzah Shabbos. I want to go to the ice cream store, Matzah Shabbos, right? That's what I want to do. And, I don't want to be sitting at home washing dishes. Or it's a pain in the neck after a long Shabbos, especially in the summer, to go wash dishes. And that's why I can't have these dishes around. I'm just dreading the fact that I'm going to have to wash the dishes. That's an issur Hachana. That's a problem. But there are some people, it's gross. It's disgusting. The smell, I can't have dirty dishes. If that's your reality and it's about the here and now, then yeah, she could wash the dishes. Why? Because right now it's disgusting. Right now it grosses you out. Right now you can't deal with it. It has nothing to do with that chana. You're not doing it for later. You're doing it for now. A potential test to figure out what is it is we could ask the lady. Men usually, it's not going to be the gross dap shot usually, but there are exceptions probably. Ask the lady and say, if Matzah Shabbos, the minute after Shabbos, was showing up the cleaning crew. The 5 cleaning ladies are coming, and don't worry, they're not going to be using up their time. They're going to be here for enough time on the house. They'll be there for enough time to cover everything in the house. They're going to wash those dishes. Would you wash those dishes now? If she would say, yes, I would wash those dishes anyways, because I just can't have them dirty right now, fine, great, you could wash on Shabbos. But if she says, you know what, if they're coming, then maybe I'm not going to wash them now. So that seems to be a sign that it's about later, it's not about now. However, this test isn't absolute. There is an exception to this test I was thinking about. Because what if somebody is driven both ways? A lot of times, there are going to be people who are driven both ways. I don't want to do Matzah Shabbos, and it's disgusting now. The question is the disgusting now enough that would get you to wash it now? Is that enough of a reason? Now, it could be there's a lot of women that if they had all the time in the world, right? And they didn't have other responsibilities, they would wash it right now. It's worth their effort to wash it now. However, if they have lots of responsibilities, they're busy with 1,000 things, and if the whole cleaning crew is showing up Matzah Shabbos anyways, then they'll let the cleaning crew do it. This is one of their things that they would push aside and make themselves busy with other things. So that's not a raya that's not a raya that it's not bothering them now. But once again, if they have the availability they have the time around, would they wash it now? And if the answer is no, then they can't because it's a chana. Fine. Can you load a dishwasher on Shabbos? Those who have a dishwasher, could you load it on Shabbos? What are you doing when you're loading the dishwasher? Are you setting it up for Matzah Shabbos for it to be cleaned? Are you allowed to set up things to be cleaned on Matzah Shabbos? No, that's Hachana. You're setting up the cleaning process of Matzah Shabbos. But those who have a dishwasher know and understand there's really a dual function of a dishwasher. One function is, yes, and it might even be the issur function. I mean, it definitely is the issur function, to go and wash those dishes. However, there is a very important tafel function for the dishwasher, which is, it's a place to store the dishes. You take all those dirty dishes, where are you going to put them? You don't want them in your face, you don't want them on your counter, you don't want them in your sink. You stick them in the dishwasher, it's a place for the dishes to be. And therefore, since that's a real function of a dishwasher, and I think almost everybody is going to have that in mind when they is using a dishwasher for that as well. Therefore, that would be allowed. I'm allowed to get them off my counter and put it in the dishwasher. Oh, but it helps to wash Matzah Shabbos. Baruch Hashem, Yofi, I get a bonus. And that would be okay. Can you go and empty the plate into the garbage before putting it in the dishwasher? Yeah, you could. You know why? Because it's true that for Shabbos, I don't need to empty as far as Shabbos is concerned, I can just stick it all in the dishwasher. But a dishwasher is not a garbage. A dishwasher is a dishwasher, right? So it's not normal to go and put all your garbage in the dishwasher. That's not a normal thing to do. So you're allowed to be normal, put the garbage where it goes in the garbage, and put the dishes in the dishwasher. Can I rinse off the dishes before putting them in the dishwasher? Now you may be asking yourself, why do people rinse off dishes before putting in the dishwasher? I have the same question. I'm still told to wash off the dishes before they go in the dishwasher. So I don't know the answer, but I know there is such a thing. Firsthand. So why? Why would somebody, and I heard it in a shiur also, so I'm not the only one on this planet. Why do people wash off the dishes?
It cleans better.
So there's two possibilities. One possibility is it cleans better. If you get all the junk off the dishes before you put it in the dishwasher, it will come out more perfect. If that's the case, issur to wash the dishes before putting in the dishwasher. You're doing it so it cleans better in Matzah Shabbos. There's a name for that in halacha. It's called Hachana. And it's issur. Yeah? Now, there's another possibility, but this is somebody who has to be pretty mefuniki. They need to wash the dishes off because it's gross putting in the slightly dirty dishes in the dishwasher. Now, I don't think this is most people, but I do believe there probably are some people out there who this does fit into, but I don't think it's most people. But if there's somebody I can't put dishes with dirt in the dishwasher. That's what it's for. I can't put dishes with dirt in the dishwasher. If that's what's going on in somebody's brain, then it is allowed. But I'm choshesh that that's not going on in most people's brains. Fine. Can you... Actually, jump to this. Can you prepare from this Shabbos to next Shabbos? We know I'm not allowed to prepare from Shabbos to Sunday, but can I prepare from Shabbos to the following Shabbos? So I heard from Rav Kalas, he had a great raya. In Hilchos Yontif, it says that you're allowed to be mevashal from Yontif Rishon to Yontif Achron. So I could be mevashal. You're not allowed to cook on Yontif for even Chol Hamoed. You can only cook on Yontif for Yontif itself. But the Mishnah Berurah says you're allowed to cook from Yontif Rishon to Yontif Achron. It's Vadei Shari. It's for sure allowed. There's no problem of being. You have limitations of what you're allowed to cook on Yontif. By the way, cooking on Yontif is not a free for all. You can't cook for the guy on Yontif, for example. You can only cook for your tzarech Yontif, but cooking for the second days is allowed. Now we see from there's no issur Hachana cooking from the first day Yontif to the last day Yontif. So if there's no issur Hachana cooking from the first, so therefore that proves l'chayra if there's no issur cooking from first day's Yontif to last day Yontif, l'chayra there's no issur of cooking from Shabbos to Shabbos. So l'chayra it is a great raya. And Rabbi Yosef Chaim Zonnefeld says this as well. He says explicitly you're allowed to do Hachana from one Shabbos to the next. Now I saw a sefer that was quoting the Shmir Shabbos Kilchasa, and he was medayik from the Shmir Shabbos Kilchasa that you're not allowed to prepare from one Shabbos to the next Shabbos. Now I checked at the Shmir Shabbos Kilchasa, and I agree it is mashma in the words of the Shmir Shabbos Kilchasa, you can't prepare from one Shabbos to the next. However, the Shmir Shabbos Kilchasa is not a Rashi. I don't know how far you go on diukim on the Shmir Shabbos Kilchasa. The Maisa, we have a clear diuk in the Mishnah Berurah. I think that's a little bit better, but it seems that not everybody is so quick to agree to this. Now, I saw a different machlokes, which might be based on this machlokes, so to speak, and I'll explain. Let's go like this. Now, can you roll Sefer Torah from Friday Yontif to Shabbos laning? Let's say Yontif was Friday and Shabbos is going to be regular laning. After the Friday afternoon davening, could you roll the Sefer Torah up to the Shabbos? So Zot Rav Akiva Eiger, yes, you could. Even if you didn't make an Erev Tavshilin, you could. Why? Because you're going up in Kedusha. You're going from Yontif to Shabbos. You're going up in Kedusha, and there's no issur Hachana. You're allowed to do it.
That would apply to anything. Why not go Sefer Torah?
Huh? No, that was just the example that he was talking about.
I'm saying therefore you should be able to cook also without Erev Tavshilin.
So cooking is a different issue of cooking for Yontif. Oh, you're saying you should be able to cook.
Up in Kedusha, everything's up in Kedusha.
So you're saying the whole Erev Tavshilin should not be necessary.
What does it mean up in Kedusha? Everything's allowed?
It's a good question. I'll tell you, I'm going to get back to you because I think there's I feel like there's a chiluk and I don't have it off the top of my head, so I'm going to get back to you on that. Okay. But he said you're going up in Kedusha and therefore you could roll the Sefer Torah even without an Erev Tavshilin. Whereas, now in a different shayla, which is very similar, they're discussing folding a talus from that Friday Yontif for the Shabbos day. Now there's a couple of other issues in talus, folding a talus that we're not discussing, but we're discussing the Hachana potential issue of folding a talus. And over there, the Magen Avram and the Shach say you're only allowed to fold the talus on Friday if you have Erev Tavshilin. Now the Mishnah Berurah says that he says that when it comes to the talus, Rav Akiva Eiger would allow you to fold the talus on Friday for Shabbos, even without Erev Tavshilin. Once again, based on the Rav Akiva Eiger by the Sefer Torah. And the Mishnah Berurah seems to paskin like that Rav Akiva Eiger, that you would be able to prepare from Friday Yontif to Shabbos day, even without a Erev Tavshilin. Now, seemingly, Rabbi Akiva Eiger is holding that there's no Hachana. This isn't the only way of explaining the machlekes, but the most pashut way of explaining the machlekes is Rabbi Akiva Eiger says there's no Hachana going from Yontif to Shabbos, whereas the Shach and the Shach and the Magen Avram, thank you. Whereas the Shach and the Magen Avram hold there is Hachana from Yontif to Shabbos. And once again, not Mochrach, but that might be this machlokes. Does Hachana extend from one day to another day? Everybody agrees Let's just put it like that. So that might be what the machlokes is based on, but once again, it's definitely not mochrach. Now, if one could prepare from Yontif to Shabbos, presumably you could prepare from Shabbos to Shabbos, because presumably, it shouldn't be any different. Now, back to our dishes. If the dishes that you're cleaning are your Shabbos dishes, which is very often the case, some people have separate, some people don't have separate, but for those that have separate dishes, Shabbos dishes, so when you're washing those dishes after your Shabbos day lunch, what are you washing them for? For next Shabbos. And therefore, there's at least a strong tzad to say that you should be allowed to wash it because you're preparing for the next Shabbos. As long as that's when you're probably going to use it. Now, huh? No, in Echanami, if it's your Shabbos talis, then the same thing would apply. Once again, it's talis is also it's a loaded issue because there are separate points.
We're allowed to roll the Sefer Torah for next Shabbos on Shabbos.
So once again, it's all going to be based on this shayla. The thief of Akiva Eger, the chayra, yes, the chayra, and the Rav Yosef Chaim Zanefeld says explicitly yes. Rav Kalis definitely believes so, but I agree it's not Kuli Alma on this point. Now, if you play back to our earlier Chakira, we asked, is it that you are preparing for the weekday, or is it that you're wasting Shabbos? When you're rolling the Sefer Torah for next Shabbos, or when you're washing the dishes for next Shabbos, you're not preparing for the weekday. But you are wasting Shabbos, because you could definitely do this during the week, so you're wasting Shabbos. So this is one of the maybe nafkaminas between how we look at that Chakira. Okay, now, to be clear, according to all sides, you cannot prepare from first day Yontif for second day Yontif in Chutz La'aretz or in Eretz Yisrael. On Rosh Hashanah, you would not be, even though Rosh Hashanah is a little bit of a loaded topic, but simply you would not be able to prepare from first day Yontif to second day Yontif, because that you're going down in Kedusha. You're going from a high level Kedusha to a low level Kedusha. For that, everybody agrees that you would not be allowed to do it. Similarly, you're not allowed to prepare from Yontif for Chol Hamoed. We know that you can't do Melacha on Chol Hamoed for the week. Chol Hamoed, not everything is mutter. Big Chiddush for lots of people. But on Chol Hamoed, you're only allowed to do Melacha for the Moed, or for Yontif. You're not allowed to do Melacha on Chol Hamoed. You can't go fill up your gas on Chol Hamoed, so you're going to have a full tank for after Yontif. Now, what about non-melacha? Could you do things, preparations that isn't melacha based? So, Rav Shlomo Zalman was in Suffolk about this. I think there's very few people that have ever even thought of this shayla. You want to go, straighten out something because you're going to need it after Yontif. You want to straighten it out on Chol Hamoed, no issur. So Rav Shlomo Zalman was in Suffolk whether that was allowed. I think very few people would have even chapped it's a shayla. Okay, back to the dishes, because we're loving the dishes here. So the Mishnah Berurah, based on the Rakeach, says that even if you just need one dish, you're allowed to wash all 10 of them. Now this seemingly is a big chiddush. You're wasting Shabbos. You're spending Shabbos washing 10 dishes, even though you're only going to need one. Why? Just 1 second. Let's speak out the side. Because each plate that you're washing might be used. That might be the plate that you're going to use. And since each plate is the plate that you might use, it's not a zilzal because you're washing it and it may be for Shabbos. Apparently it's only a zilzal if the plate that you're washing is definitely not for Shabbos. But since there's a chance of it being for Shabbos, apparently it's not a zilzal for the Shabbos. But seemingly you are wasting Shabbos. But L'maisa, we say it's allowed.
What does it mean wasting Shabbos? It means you should be doing it. It means that means you're wasting it? That means
you have better things to do with your time. Learn a little Orach Chaim.
But does that mean I'm not allowed to just sit on Shabbos?
There's not going to be an issur in just sitting.
Why? You're wasting. What's the thing you're supposed to be doing though?
No, we're explaining. We're only going to get you on an action. We're not going to get you on a non-action. But the underlying yesod behind what we get you on the action, what is it? So the suggestion is the underlying yesod as to why we get you on the action of preparing for after Yontif is you're wasting Shabbos. But once again, we very rarely are going to get you, be mechayev you an issur for a non-action. There may be exceptions, but it's very rare. Okay. Weiter. Now, what if let's take this to the next level. Let's say I used 6 plates Friday night, right? Service for 18. I have another 12 plates in the kitchen cabinet. We're talking about a from household, right? 2 already broke. I have 10 plates in the kitchen cabinet. Let's be realistic here, right? I have 10 plates in the kitchen cabinet. And how many people am I having for Shabbos day? 5. Can I go and wash the plates and I'll use them for Shabbos day? Is that allowed? Do I need to use them? Could I get away with it in the cabinet? Yeah. But I want to wash these and use them for Shabbos day. Is that allowed? So, some people say, no, it's not allowed. Some of the modern. The Aruch HaShulchan says it's not ina nachon. It's not the proper thing. He doesn't say it's usher. But it's ina nachon. It's not the proper thing to do. Rav Eider quotes Rav Moshe. It's not directly Nigras Moshe, but Rav Eider quotes Rav Moshe as saying it's allowed. And I heard from Rav Kalas that he said Mitzvara, it's allowed. Why? You're washing it, and this plate may be used. If this plate that you're washing may be used, it's allowed. Why is it? Think about it. When you had one you only needed 1 plate. You were able to wash all 10. After you washed the first plate, why were you washing any more? You didn't need to, but you were able to continue. So who cares if you got to that status where you have enough plates in the middle of washing or before you started washing? Either way, it would be allowed, and therefore l'chayra, it is allowed. Interesting question. Let's say it's Shabbos day, and I say, you know what? Please put 2 bottles of Coke, or I do it myself. I put 2 bottles of Coke into the fridge, 1 for Shal Shudas and 1 for Malav Malka. Is that okay?
Sound like the place. Either one you could use.
Gavaldik. So it's the same thing as the plates. And I think a lot of people don't realize this, don't think about it, but there's no problem. I can put the 2 bottles of soda in the fridge, 1 for Shal Shudas, 1 for Malav Malka, no problem. In fact, even if I'm having a big Malav Malka. So I want to put 20 bottles of Coke in the fridge. 1 for Shal Shudas and 19 for Malav Malka. Is that allowed? Yes, it's allowed. No problem. Geschmack, huh?
It doesn't feel right.
It doesn't feel right. I agree it doesn't feel right. But it's not enough reason to answer. It fits in. How about this? I already have a bottle of Coke in the fridge. And I'm having a big Malav Malka. Could I put 19 bottles or 20 bottles into the fridge, and I'll use one of the bottles for Shal Shudas? That's fine as well. But once again, it can't be that the one that's in there, I'm going to take that one out specifically because it's colder by Shal Shudas, and the rest is from Malav Malka. That would be illegal. Go back 5 yards, you know what I'm saying? But if I'm taking whichever bottle, that would be no problem. Now, are you allowed to say explicitly, Yankel, put 20 bottles in the fridge. We're having a big Shal Shudas. Nah. What's your raya that you can't do it? So the Mishnah Berurah says, you can't say sleep on Shabbos, so you'll be up for Matzah Shabbos. The Seder is Matzah Shabbos. Shavuos night is Matzah Shabbos. Sleep on Shabbos, Kindulach, so you'll be up for the Matzah Shabbos. That you're not allowed to say. So apparently it's some form of zilz. Sleeping on Shabbos for Matzah Shabbos, allowed. Saying to do it, that's a problem. That's already a zilzal. Now let me ask you, why is it allowed? So the Seder is Matzah Shabbos. Why am I allowed to sleep on Shabbos?
You're getting the hanor now of sleeping. You're all getting some.
Excellent. Shina b'Shabbos Tainig, you're getting the hanor now. Einachin nami, you might have kavanas about later, but you're getting something now. If you're getting something now, that would be allowed. But I would say that it's not a issur gomer to say it, but it's better not to. It really comes from the Shmir Shabbos Kilchas, this idea of not saying it. It's not even explicit in the Mishnah Berurah, but Lamaisa, it should be avoided. Now, can you wash the dishes? Yeah. Could you? And another thing, I think we said it already about cups. You're allowed to wash the dishes if you might use it. Let's say you might use it. You're allowed to wash it. Now, here's a question. I have all my dishes. They're stacked in. I have 30 dishes stacked in the sink. So I want to I get an idea. I'll wash them all, and then after when they're clean, I'll use one. Can I do that? Is that illegal or illegal? I'm going to wash all the dishes, and then afterwards I'll use it. We'll have some bissli with a fork and a knife on the plate. Gavalda. Maybe bissli is illegal, but we'll have something real. We'll take something. We'll stick it on the plate. A piece of cake on the plate. Can that be done? So the Aruch Shulchan says that let's say let's give you a good example. Here, Geshmak, Chutzlarts, Shmini Atzeres. Actually, let's do it like this. Let's do Shmini Atzeres to Simchas Torah. Simchas Torah, we need more Sifrei Torah by Zayis Bracha. So on Shmini Atzeres, after the laning, we want to roll the Sefer Torah to Zayis Bracha. Can I do that? So, Zak the Aruch Shulchan, lean it there, read a pasuk. You roll it to Zayis Bracha, read the pasuk Zayis Bracha, and you're good. Because you used it. You used it on Shmini Atzeres. You lay in Zayis Bracha. Beautiful. And that would work. So,
that's going down in Kedusha?
L'chayra, yes. We're talking about from first day Yontif, which is Deraisa, second day Yontif, which is Derabanan. I know there might be Vertlach out there, but in simple pshat, it's going down in Kedusha. So therefore, that would be issur Hachana, but that's not a problem. The Aruch Shulchan, you could, as long as you do this seemingly this harama, this trick of reading a pasuk, that's good enough. So the chayra, you'd probably be able to do the same thing with the dish, with the Aruch Shulchan. I don't know if everybody would be so cool with it.
From Shabbos to Shabbos is no worry.
From Shabbos to Shabbos, if you do the pasuk, you're saying, I would definitely be mitzvah. Shabbos to Shabbos, once again, Rav Kalas, Rav Yosef Chaim Zonefeld are all good. But not everybody was so pleased with it. But I think the pashas is Shabbos to Shabbos would be allowed.
Can I prepare pickles on Shabbos, put cucumbers and make a whole dish? And I know it's only going to be ready in 7 days.
Well, there's a different issue of pickling. So we'll put that. Yeah. Fine. But klape achana, it would be fun. Okay. Next. Where was I holding? Yes. Shulchan Aruch Shin Chaf, the Mishnah Berurah Yotes, Sif Yotes. Now you can't set up your bed for Matzah Shabbos. On Shabbos, you can't set up your bed for Matzah Shabbos. What is this setting up your bed? So the K'sois HaShulchan, he explains that it used to be a big process, the whole setting up the bed. So you can't do this whole big process on Shabbos, setting up the bed for Matzah Shabbos, to go to sleep on Matzah Shabbos. I'm picturing, I was thinking, what's the modern day example? So the modern day example, l'chayra, is your classic Israeli, like converting the living room to a bedroom type matzah. All of a sudden the couch goes this way, the curtain goes that way, and you go. So you can't do that whole big setup for Matzah Shabbos. Or that closet thing, what is that? And all of a sudden you start pulling out beds this way, that way, though, and all of a sudden it's a 16 bed mechanism, for all 16 kids. You know how the Yeshamas do it, right? Yeah. So that's how they do it. Right? So those things, could you set up the 16 bed mechanism before Shabbos is over? So right after Havdalah, the kids could go to sleep. No, that you would not be allowed to do. Okay, would you be allowed to make your bed on Shabbos? So a lot of people say this thing, you're not allowed to make your bed on Shabbos. Now, why are you making your bed? So there's 2 reasons to make a bed. Some people make a bed because they want the room to be neat. If you're making the bed because you want the room to be neat, It's for now. And if it's for now, it's no problem. It's perfectly allowed. But if what you're doing is that you're making the bed because I like getting into a made bed. Some people like getting into a made bed. No, I agree. I see some of your faces. And some of your faces are like, what are you talking about? And other people are like, yeah, obviously. We're not gonna. You don't have to look around now. But those are the faces that I saw. So, if you're the guy who is, yeah, obviously I like getting into a made bed, so then you cannot make the bed on Shabbos morning or Shabbos afternoon. You have a nap, l'chayra. So after your Shabbos afternoon nap, you cannot make the bed, so you have a good, nice made bed to get in on Matzah Shabbos. Now, what if you have both things in mind? I like a neat room, and I like to get into a made bed. Then it would be allowed. Because once you have a reason to do it now, then you are okay. Fine. So let's get to some more heterim in Hachana. The Shulchan Aruch says, referring to Zayreah, in the malachas of planting, apparently chickens eat seeds. So you shouldn't throw seeds that for more than 2 days worth of seeds to the chickens because they won't eat it up in 2 days. And then it's going to take root and it will grow. And you'll be over this as Zareah. So on Shabbos, only throw a day or two's worth of seeds. Don't throw more than that. Wait, throw a day or two of seeds? How could you throw the or 2 days of seeds? How can you throw 2 days of seeds to the chickens? You're preparing for tomorrow. So the Mishnah Berurah explains that the reason why you could do it is because it's chad tircha. It's you take one handful and you throw it out there. Since it's one action, we don't really care whether it's 1 day, 2 days. It's not a chana when it's just one action. It's the same action. A little more, a little less. That's not a chana. So let's say you want to get, for second day yontif, you're going to want to get out the chalas to defrost early. Or you want to get the food for the second day yontif in chutzlaretz. You want to get to the frost early. There's the eitzah. What do? You take a bag. You put the food that you want to take out first day afternoon. And you put in the bag ices. Then you take out the bag. You eat the ices. Oh, now that's already out. Chad tircha. So it's a good to eat. I heard this from Kalis that works the chayra gishmak. Yeah, fine. Now there's another heter that's they call it the Shlomo Zalman's heter of regilim. Any basic act that you do without giving much thought, it's just part of normal processes, then that's not considered Hachana. Something you just do without, naturally, just flow, without giving any thought, that's regilim. That's not Hachana. What's the underlying yesod? What's the underlying explanation to Rav Shlomo Zalman? Why are you doing it? You're not doing it because you're preparing for next time. You're doing it because you just do it without thought. That's not preparing. Huh?
What's the example?
So what's the example? So some examples that say like putting away a sefer, or putting away most of a lot of stuff by the end of use where you just put it away. You're not thinking I'm not putting it away for next time. I'm just this is what you do. Yeah. Whereas it seems that not everybody agreed to that. Like I'll give you an example. We see Moshe Feinstein clearly did not agree to this. Moshe Feinstein says after you use your toothbrush on Shabbos, you're not allowed to rinse it off. When you rinse off your toothbrush after you use it, you just do it because whatever.
Toothbrush on Shabbos?
Oh, no. Oh, so I have to break up for this mistake. What do you mean? Ramosha says toothbrush on Shabbos. You can use your toothbrush. Ramosha says you shouldn't put water on the toothbrush. You put the water in your mouth or the mouthwash in your mouth, and then you brush. Now you're asking. No, Ramosha had no problem. It was in your mouth already. Then Ramosha was okay with it. Now, in terms of Shabbos toothbrush, a lot of people quote Ramosha as requiring a Shabbos toothbrush. So, huh? It didn't exist, correct? It didn't exist. That's point number one. Point number two is I read through the Rav Moshe again. It's not what he says. He says you should use the toothbrush, the thing that's miyuchid for it. He means miyuchid for brushing your teeth. It doesn't mean a Shabbos toothbrush. He's just describing what a toothbrush is.
He had a special toothbrush for Shabbos.
No, apparently he didn't.
Special one.
I don't know.
Covers Shabbos Kodesh on it.
But apparently he didn't. Because you know why? It says you're not allowed to rinse it. So you're not allowed to rinse it for machar. He doesn't say for Shabbos haba. He says you're not allowed to rinse it for machar. Meaning he uses the same toothbrush Shabbos and Sunday.
So if you would have a Shabbos toothbrush, it wouldn't be beside it. You can rinse it for
If you had a Shabbos toothbrush, you'd be able to rinse it if what we're saying before was correct. So maybe that is a reason to have a Shabbos toothbrush. I don't know whether he held with that or not. But L'maisa, that's definitely an example of regilim. You don't give much thought when you rinse off the toothbrush. When you rinse the toothbrush after using it, you're not doing, I'm rinsing off the toothbrush now, so it will be clean for tomorrow. No, you just rinse it off. But Rav Moshe did not allow that. Fine. Can you throw out your cup after using it? Right? You finish your learning. Could you throw out the paper cup? Can you put away the siddur after mincha? So, and if you're the type of person that you normally wash a dish after you eat, every time you eat, you wash the dish. Could you wash the dish after you eat it? So, according to Shlomo Zalman, most of those things would probably fit into regilim. There's another heter that is more universally held of called Gemar Malacha. It's the end of the usage. So we understand that a paper cup, the end of the usage of the paper cup is you throw it out. You take a siddur for mincha on Shabbos afternoon. The end usage of the siddur is putting it back in the shelf. That's part of the process of using it. It's Gemar Malacha, and that would be allowed. Can you clean up the toys? Now, if we're staying in the house and nobody wants the house to be messy, filled with toys, so obviously you could clean up the toys. Can you go, all right, everybody, kids, clean up the toys so we can leave to the Kaisel for Mincha and Shalshut to Ma'ariv? Clean up the toys so we can leave. Would that be allowed? What are you cleaning the toys for? You clean the toys that when you come back Matzah Shabbos, it will be cleaned. Is that an issur of Hachana? So it depends. If it's the type of household that's how it works. You play with the toy and you clean up the toy. I know. Everybody's halvai, right? If that's how it worked, so that was the end usage of the toy. So you use the toy and you clean it up. So that would be allowed. That's Gemar Malacha. That's the end usage of the Gemar Shemesh. That's the end usage of the toy. But if, let's call a spade, if that's not how it works, then to clean up before you leave to the Kaisel for Mincha, the Chayr is a problem. Fine. We Klisha Ma'ata L'Heter, right? We know Klisha Ma'ata Israel Lileh Move Tzar Kufa Tzar Mekayme. A Klisha Ma'ata Heter, you're allowed to move for whatever, to save it from robbers. So you left outside your chair, you left it in your front yard, and you realized it's going to get stolen. You're allowed to bring it in, even if you're not going to use it until after Shabbos. Why are you allowed to bring it in? Isn't that Hachana?
Again, you're getting the benefit now of it not being stolen now.
Is that really a benefit now?
Yeah.
Why is the benefit now?
So a guy must steal it now.
On Shabbos.
Yeah.
But maybe. There's a Gemara that says that you're allowed to in the Bittul Kli Me'echane Sugya, you're allowed to take a cup and put it on top of a newly hatched muksta egg on Shabbos. Why? Why? Surely, if you think about it, that's Hachana for after Shabbos. You're doing Hachana by saving the egg. Why is that allowed? We know you're allowed to put, just a modern thing. Everybody allows you to take meat or whatever it is, put it back in the fridge or the freezer. Why? Surely you're doing Hachana for saving that meat. When are you going to eat that meat? You're not eating it on Shabbos. You're eating it after Shabbos. Surely it is Hachana. Another example, the Marshag was asked, they didn't have Chal Stam in Hungary, no way. So the Marshag they had to watch the guy milk the cow. So the Marshag was asked, could we have the guy watch the cow being milked for Sunday's milk? Could we have the guy on Shabbos, the Mashgiach, watch the guy milk the cow? And he said yes. Why?
Because the hefset is now, not after Shabbos.
It's a hefset?
Well,
It's not a hefset.
if I leave the meat out the fridge, so the meat's going off now. I'm not putting it in the fridge so I can eat it once Shabbos. I don't want it to go off now.
Good.
Now's the issue.
So there's two ways of saying it. You chose one. We'll get to it in a second. The Marshak chooses a little bit of a different way. But so Gilan is saying it's a vart in preservation, not preparation. Yeah? Now the Marshak says something a little bit different. The Marshak says, now's the time. It's not a thing, why don't you do this before Shabbos? I couldn't have done this before Shabbos. Now is the time that it comes up. If it comes up now, if now's the time to do it, you're allowed to do it. Another example, which, what was it again? He says about putting the adasim and the ravas back in water. They used to put the adasim and ravas back in water. You're allowed to do it on Yontif, the Marshak said. Why? Now's the time to do it. It's not, why don't you do it at a different time? Now's the time.
Why is now the time?
Because this is when it came up. If this is when it comes up, that's when you're allowed to do it. It's not a Varden, so seemingly, the Marshag sounds more like he's working with the Tzad, you're wasting Shabbos. No, I'm not wasting, he has an answer, I should say it better. There's a kasha, why are you wasting Shabbos? Let the Marshag, if you have an answer to that kasha, why am I wasting Shabbos? I'm doing it because now's when it came up. If you have a good answer to the kasha, then it's allowed. Why are you putting the cup on the egg now? Because now's when the egg was born. Why are you putting the meat back in the freezer now? Because now is when the meat is out in front of me and is going to spoil. So if you have an answer to the kasha, why are you doing it now? Then the Marshag will let. It came up now. Once again, there was the other possibility of preservation, as Gilan said, which is at Tzad and Lumdus. You could definitely hear differentiation between preservation and preparation. However, we have some problems with that. The Mishnah Berurah says that on the top of milk, if you want to get rid of the smetna, I think that's the Yiddish word, right? If you want to get rid of the smetna on top of the milk, I don't know, the thick stuff that's used for like butter or something, I don't know. So if you leave that on, it's going to ruin the milk. Zakt the Mishnah Berurah, since it's a hefsid, you could get a goy to do it. Once again, we're talking about it's the sugya of bayra. So you have to take a little of the milk with it, but you can only do it, so that's how you get around bayra. But what about Hachana? For the Hachana, you can only do via goy, because it's a hefsid. Well, it seems like the Mishnah Berurah didn't like the svara of its preservation. Another example, yeah. No, he says even if you take some of the milk and you avoid the butter, it still needs to be via a guy because it still needs to be via a guy because of a chana. Another example, if you have from when an animal is shechted, you have 3 days as to where you have to do the salting, or else if you don't do the salting within 3 days, then the blood can't come out and you'll only be able to barbecue it. Yeah? Some people think it's not a problem, but okay. Now, let's say the 3 days are running out on Shabbos. Let's say the 3 days are running out on Shabbos. Now, there's a trick. You could extend the time. How do you extend the time? You soak it in water, and then you restart the count. You restart the 3-day count. Huh? Pickling is when you have salt and all that type of stuff. I'm just saying, put it in water. Then you'll restart the 3-day count. So now let's say the 3 days are running out on Shabbos. Can I go put it in water? Zak the Mishnah Berurah? No. It's a chana. You can't do it. Now, if you have a guy, you could do it with a guy. And because it's a hefsid, shvus to shvus, makim hefsid, you could do it. And the other option that you could do is you could wash your hands on top of it. And if you wash your hands on top of it, it's not nicker that you're doing Hachana, and it's not a Meisa Gadol. If it's not a Meisa Gadol and it's not Nicker, that would be allowed as well. Fine. The Minchas Yitzchak says, by the way, this reason of the Marshag, because now is when to do it, that's why you could put the meat back in the freezer. Now, I have a flight. I'm one of those guys. When's your flight leaving? 8 p.m. But Shabbos is only over at 6. So how are you going to make your 8 p.m. flight? Don't worry. Shabbos ends 6, and the taxi's pulling up at 6:03. So I'm good. I can make it. Could this guy pack his rolling on Shabbos? So his little suitcase, his rolly suitcase. Could he pack up his rolly suitcase on Shabbos? Is that a chana for Matzah Shabbos? So what would the Marshag say? So it depends, l'chayr. If it's stuff that he couldn't have packed before Shabbos, it's his talis for Shabbos morning. It's his Shabbos suit that he has in there. So if that's the case, he couldn't have done it beforehand. L'chayr, the Marshag would allow. I'm not saying all the poskim would allow, but l'chayr, the Marshag would allow. Now's the time to do it. I couldn't have done it before.
You can do it afterwards. I don't get this one.
No, I'm talking about this case. Let's say he doesn't have time to do it afterwards.
3 minutes.
He only has 3 minutes.
Now's the time. You can settle everything. Now's the time to salt the chicken. But salting the chicken, you can't say. You had 3 days to do the salting the chicken. If you were whatever that you didn't do it till now, that's your problem. But over here, once again, if you had to, it's the stuff that you're packing was Shabbos day stuff that you're packing. L'chayr, the Marshag would allow. If you're packing stuff that you could have packed before Shabbos, then we don't have a raya that the Marshag would allow such.
You can't take extra clothing, like the weekday clothing. The Shabbos clothing you could.
Maybe you could take everything, because once you couldn't have packed beforehand because you didn't have everything, maybe you could just do the full pack. It's a b'zayin. I think a lot of people think it's a b'zayin. Well, Maisa, I'm not saying that everybody would agree. Fine. Are you allowed to take something out, let's say first day Yontif? Could you take something out of the freezer in the afternoon so that it will defrost in time for tonight? So Zot Rav Falk says, I want to take, without the ices. I said the earlier eitzah with the ices. Let's say you didn't have that eitzah with the ices. Could you take it out? So Rav Falk says that you could take it out as long as it's going to defrost before the end of Yontiv, you're allowed to do it because it's a maisa that isn't nicker, that it's for later. And it could be, but we're not using there. If you really might use it, then it's mutter l'kuliyama. I'm talking about a case where you're really not using it. You're total. No, but your mindset is 100% clear. You are for sure not using it, right? But since it could be used, even though you're totally not planning on it, therefore it's not considered nicker, and it's a mesa, it's a small mesa, and therefore he says you're allowed to do it. Whereas Rishon Zalman says you're not allowed to do it. But I think we have a raya from the Mishnah Brewer that we quoted earlier about washing your hands on top of the meat. That you're allowed to do the ine nicker mesa. We have a raya from the Mishnah Brewer, more like Rav Falk than less like the Shemir Shabbos.
Again, why would you be erev tashilin if you can cook the food? Maybe you're going to use it. You might have to be able to use it.
So that's once again, we have to open the whole sugya of erev tashilin. It's based on the machlokes of the two ways of viewing it. We'll Mitzvah one day give a share on erev tashilin, but I hear your kasha. Fine. So, are you allowed to clean up after Shalosh Shudas? A lot of people get very nervous on this. Couldn't you clean up after Shalosh Shudas? No, everybody's saying no. Issur. Why not?
Well, it depends what we're talking about.
So when you clean up your table, do you like having a neat table now? Yeah, maybe some of us. Do you clean up before you bench Shabbos day, Friday night? Do you clean up the table before you bench? So depending. If not. If yeah, I don't see why you shouldn't be able to clean it up before you bench for Shalosh Shudas. You like to bench by a clean table.
during the day. It's okay to bench a clean table at night. And what about, when you go to Ma'ariv, when you leave, are the women still there in that room? I think there might be over here a big chiluk between big house living and apartment living. If you're living in a big house, that's in the dining room. Everybody leaves the dining room and is going to go chill in the living room, the den, the family room, whatever, the lounge. So then, okay, there's some svara to say, okay, leave it a mess. If you're living in an apartment, then that's like your area, that's your room. It's pashut that you could clean it. It's pashut that everybody appreciates not having a big fat mess there. And if everybody appreciates not being a big fat mess there, why can't you clean it? What's the hachana? It's for now. I'll tell you a story. I once went with, I think it was Aaron Kaplan Track and Hill Arc, I think. And we went Shabbos after Mincha, we went to get a bracha from Rav Zundel Kreuzer, the Orach Chama, a huge Talmid Chacham. So we went to Rav Zundel for a bracha. And he was like, I don't know, 200-300 years old. And he was 90 whatever years old at the time. And, living in his little house in Knesset over there. And we went for bracha right after Mincha. And it was like 15 minutes, 20 minutes before Shkia. And he asked us, do you have a place for Shalashidus? And we really were planning on going back to yeshiva. But one of the guys says, no, we have nowhere to eat. And Rav Zundel says, okay, sit down for Shalashidus. So the four of us, it was just the four of us and Rav Zundel Kreuzer. We sat down, we asked him all the kashas, all the shaylas, whatever we could think of, whatever trying to communicate in Hebrew, whatever. And it was geschmack. It was definitely an experience. And then when it was done, I think when we finished, right after benching, or before benching, I don't remember exactly, I think it was Trek, started picking stuff up to bring it into the kitchen. And Rav Zundel looks at him and says, "No." And Trek freezes and says, "Oh, Hachana." And he says, "Nein, Hachnas Sorchem." And he takes it and brings it himself into the kitchen. Geschmacka story. So Zundel Kreuzer held that you could clean it up after Shalashidus. Okay, fine. I like that story. Okay, so I think Shapsi once asked me this. Can you take a sitter for Ma'ariv? Can you take a sitter? What do you mean with take a sitter for Ma'ariv? Obviously. Well, the Shulchan Aruch says that you're not allowed to take a Megillah to shul for before Ma'ariv when there's going to be laning of whether it's Eicha or whether it's Megillah Esther on Matzah Shabbos. You cannot bring a Megillah there for Mincha or Ma'ariv, right? You can't bring on Shabbos because it's for after Shabbos. Yeah.
It's a vachadik sitter, no.
So you're saying a Shabbos to consider. Maybe interesting. So when I go to the shelf and I take a sitter, Ellie, what am I taking the sitter for? I'm taking the sitter off the shelf. I'm walking to Ma'ariv in the Gra. What am I taking the sitter for?
I think maybe
For Ma'ariv and Matzah Shabbos. I'm taking the sitter for Ma'ariv and Matzah Shabbos. That act of taking the sitter, is an act of Hachana for Ma'ariv. And when does Matzah Shabbos start? Baruch Hu. And if Baruch Hu is when Matzah Shabbos starts, you're preparing for that Baruch Hu. And the Chayra, it is a problem. Now I know people that are very makbid to avoid the Shayla completely, and they always come to Ma'ariv late. And this way, they b'chal don't have the issue. When they walk in, it's already after Shabbos. And I know some people that are very makbid on this. But for those that aren't makbid on the Shayla, how can you take a sitter? So you could open it up and say a pasuk say something from it. Okay, great, but the Ilm doesn't do it. So what are you going to do? Or you could take the sitter after Baruch Hu. After Baruch Hu, stampede to the shelf to take the siddur. So if you're a yeki and you do that whole lamatzei, it's not yekish? Okay, whoever it is that does that whole song thing, not everyone, trust me, not everyone. Yeah? Okay, I don't know. I don't know. I've only seen a couple places do it. So if you sing the whole song, perfect. And I heard that's one of the reasons that they sing the song. But But maybe that's good. I have another eitzah. You want to hear a Gavaldik eitzah? Even though 6 days a week, nobody ever reads the words from the siddur, and everybody always says it by heart, you should be makbid on Matzah Shabbos to say, read it from the siddur. If you read it from the siddur, that's before Shabbos ends, Mamela, you're good. So that is the eighth of the day. Okay, now let's just finish up here. So we had 3 eitzahs. You could either come late, you could say Hamavdil beforehand, or you could say V'hurachom. Now, I guess we did that already. I'm going to skip that part because we're running late. Can you put water in the shalom pot that's all crusty? Could you put water in that shalom pot? Huh? No, we have cold. After you serve the shalom, you have that shalom pot. You know, it's starting to get nasty already. Could you put the water? Could you fill it up with water? So the Or L'Tzion says you're not allowed to. Issur, you cannot put water into that shalom pot. Now I have to ask you a question. Why do you put water in the shalom pot? Why do you do it?
Just easier to clean up.
Easier to clean after Shabbos. That's a bad answer. Issur. Some people apparently say that they put the water in, it makes it not smell. I don't know. If the smell thing is real, then fine. However, there's the eitzah, you can wash your hands over the shalom pot, and if you wash your hands over the shalom pot, then that would be allowed. Yeah. But if you never wash your hands ever, then it might be a problem for multiple reasons. Can you prepare for a mitzvah? The mitzvah is Matzah Shabbos. Could you prepare for the mitzvah? So, Lamaisa, good point. The Or L'Tzion says you could prepare for a mitzvah. The Aruch Shulchan says you cannot prepare for a mitzvah. And the accepted halacha is that you're not allowed to prepare for a mitzvah. Can you study for your Chumash test? Chumash test on Sunday, could you study? Yes, because you're getting the Torah now. Can you prepare for the math test or the science test on Sunday?
It depends.
What does it depend on?
If you're doing it for the knowledge in general.
Nobody's doing for the knowledge in general. They're all doing it for the test.
Some people, they're learning history, they get a geschmack out of history. It happens to be they're writing a test on Sunday, but they're also enjoying
Maybe. So the Paiskim seem to say that since at the end of the day you're getting a mitzias of a chachma now, even though your Eker Kavan is the test, let's face it, but since you're getting a mitzias of chachma now, you're allowed because you're getting something now. Once you're getting something, it's allowed. But once again, like the sleeping, you shouldn't say explicitly that you're doing it for Sunday. Thank you for listening, and we should have a much more beautiful, beautiful Shabbosim.